This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports. It's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports. Time to change your approach with Aaron Halterman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Dudes Who Bet Sports on a very important show today, as we're going to talk about some subjects that I think we kind of thought could happen, but it was still kind of a shock that it did. So what we're going to do on the show today, kind of going to go over the coaching vacancies, one huge one in college football, and then there's 8-ish in the NFL right now. We'll go over those as well, but and then we'll do obviously the picks for the big wild card weekend in the NFL. But Papa Dude, I think we have to start with this. This is the lead story here. Yesterday afternoon, about 4 o'clock our time, Nick Saban announces he is retiring. You called it a week ago. You said this was going to happen, and it did. Just overall thoughts on the situation at Alabama now.
Well, yeah, I wasn't terribly surprised. And I just read some stuff that he has said. He hasn't had a press conference or anything, but he has come out and made a couple of statements. And basically, it has to do with his age. And nearing his age as I am, I know exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
He just doesn't think he has the energy to do it the way you have to do it. And I know exactly what he's saying. You know, you don't realize how many hours a day they put in. And it's not with the weekends off. It's an everyday grind. You may get a month off in the summer, but you're really never off. And you just go. And everybody says, well, how can you sit around and coach all day long? It's not just that. You're on the phone calling recruits. You're handling interviews. It's constant football.
Yeah.
That's all you do. And even at a lesser level, high school wise, which was much lesser than what he has to do, and basketball, you don't have as many players as he has to worry about. It's just, you just don't realize how much time you spend at doing it. I mean, I would teach all day. We'd have practice. I'd get home at 6 o'clock. I'd eat something, and then boom, I'm on the computer watching film.
Yeah.
Of our next opponent.
Yep.
And it was, like I say, a much lesser deal. I didn't have the pressure that he did. And he just doesn't, he plainly says, I just don't have the energy to do it anymore.
Do you think
go ahead.
Do you think a lot of it has to do with also, I'm a little bit older, I don't have the energy. There's a lot of younger coaches out there right now. And I think a coach's job is even harder now with NIL.
Oh,
and with the transfer portal.
Yeah, and I think you just sit down after a while and you go, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I just don't. And that's what he said. He said, I can't 100% commit to it like you have to do. And that's what a lot of these guys end up when they finally retire. They just look themselves in the mirror and say, hey, I really don't want to do this today. I just don't. And you got to love it or you can't continue it day after day. And I think he finally just said, I've had enough. The NIL, you can't. He said, I want to make it clear that didn't have anything to do with it. I don't believe that. I think that added fuel to the fire that, hey, God, do I really want to keep messing with this?
Yeah.
Because what happened? Go ahead.
I think that with the NIL, maybe you're for it, maybe you're against it. I think the main thing that NIL and the transfer portal has done, you mentioned it. It is now a 365 days a year you have to be working, right?
Yeah.
In the past, you have your season, you wrap up your recruiting season.
You have a little time then.
You got a little time to breathe until the spring, and then you have the spring, and then you've got a little time. I'm not saying it's wide open. You still have responsibilities, but you got a little time to breathe, and then you start into your season again.
Yeah.
Recruiting is every single day, and it's not just concentrated towards high school or junior college athletes. It is, you got to be everywhere. I get it. That has got to be a taxing situation.
And then you add the pressure that comes with a job like Alabama. He's just under intense pressure constantly. He can't be his own self. People are wanting to interview him. he has to honor a lot of that stuff. He doesn't really want to do it, but he has to. I think he's mellowed a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, and I know I've gained a ton of respect for him. A tremendous coaching job for sure. The other thing about the NIL and the portal, when you coach, you got to have total control. You got to have, I mean, it's just the way it is. And you got to have total control over your team, over everything. And nowadays, trying to get these kids to conform with what your demands are is tough.
It's tough. Yeah, you can't. You don't have that in it. I mean, it's a truth, but it's kind of a weird way to put it. I don't want it to sound like this, but you don't have control. You don't have control over them.
You don't.
You can't. They have all the power.
Right. Used to you work and work and work, and you sign a kid, and you get him, and you got him for 3 years. Unless
you got him, unless he wants to go through a lot of stuff that's a pain in the ass. Basically,
when he transferred before, you set out a year.
Yeah.
Kids don't want to do that. They don't want to sit out a year. You got to go to a different program and you can't play for a year. Now you don't like what's going on. You just toss it and you're gone. You worked all that time to recruit that kid, and he comes in there and he doesn't get to play enough. And in some cases, these kids play as freshmen and they leave.
Yeah.
Like OU lost a fantastic lineman that they had they were just raving about him, and he decided he was going to go. He was going to leave, and he did. And so that stuff happens.
To my point right there, that's a good one. Caden Green, offensive lineman at OU, played as a true freshman a lot, became their best offensive lineman. Yeah. All kinds of plans to build around him. Missouri gives him a bag of money, and he's gone.
Well, yeah. And
then all of a sudden, to my point, you think you got a kid locked down, and then all of a sudden you're out, and OU's trying to get offensive linemen in the portal right now.
And the kid's from Missouri, so he might have wanted to go back home. You know, the OU offensive line coach is very demanding. He may have. This is speculation. I don't know this, but he may not have. He may have clashed with him personality wise, and now boom, you got the portal. You can just leave.
Gone. Yeah, no problem.
Who wants to put up with that as a coach?
Well, I think the answer to that question is the younger guys.
Yeah,
because that's what they know now.
They don't know any different, right?
Look who's struggling right now, right? I mean, Nick Saban certainly was not struggling on the football field, but mentally, we're going to say he was struggling.
No doubt.
Dabo Sweeney can't adjust. Look what's happened. I mean, the old school coaches. Probably a Bob Stoops if he was still in it. He got out before, but they're not gonna like this. And the Dan Lannings of the world and the Lincoln Rileys really of the world, they will play this game. They're in it. They're used to it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you talk a guy like Dabo. His whole program is based on joining into the culture.
Yep.
Becoming part of the culture of Clemson, which means you buy into what's going on. You become a bigger thing. You become a big part of the team. Yeah. And you buy into the university. You buy into what they're doing, and you can't do that anymore. You can't. You just cannot satisfy everybody. Then you add in this NIL, and one thing Saban has said, I've heard him say it, is this needs to be equal everywhere, which it does. But it's never going to happen. And as we mentioned, we were talking off the air after the Daily Show today, I would love to see the NCAA, the powers to be, whoever that is, form some sort of a commission to get this thing under control and he be in charge of it. I would love that. But like you said, he probably doesn't want to mess with that. No. You get guys like him, Bob Stoops, some of these older retired coaches that could be on that. And because they don't want to do away with the NIL.
No.
They want to make it to where it's feasible. They want to make it to where it's equal for everybody, which it needs to be. And then you wouldn't have all this jumping all over the place. Not as much.
Well, I think, Dennis texted me privately about a couple things on this, but one thing he said, he's like, I speculate that Alabama's advantage isn't as what it once was because of NIL. And probably right about that. And I think that same's going to go for all those kind of power schools. That it's going to come down to money in a lot of places, and there's places that have money that you wouldn't really think of that are kind of
I mean, Missouri is one of them.
Missouri is one of them.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
I don't either, but they've got it, and they're getting guys.
And you don't play Missouri. They're playing the game. That's what the game is, and they're using it to their advantage. I don't blame Missouri at all.
Look at the age of their coach. They've got, and that, listen, my biggest concern after year one at OU is our coach is way too old for this current climate. He's not an old man, but he's old for this climate.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen the change.
He did. He was able.
Last year, he used the portal. This year, he's all over the portal. So give him credit. He has changed how he approached things, and it worked. Year two was much better than year one.
Yeah, and
you hope now year three is better than year two. We'll see what happens there. But no matter what happens, you give him credit. He was on the Dabo approach, and he saw, oh, shit, we can't do that.
Yeah,
and he changed.
He learned from Dabo.
Yes, exactly. But he also learned from the current situation. But you have to play the game or you're done. And I don't care who you are.
Yeah, the last time I looked,
you will die if you do not play the game.
Yeah. Last time I looked, we've signed 12 guys in the portal.
And the first year he was there, he's like, we're not doing that at all. And they went 6 and 7. So it is what it is. Now
you either play it or you don't.
Yeah. So the next part of this. Okay, Saban's gone from Alabama. That's probably the best job in college football. At least one of the top 5 is open. Came out. Dan Lanning was a huge rumor. He was going to go there. He is now out of the running. He just came out and said, we're not leaving. He's told this team, we're not leaving.
I've heard that before, but anyway.
I've heard it before, but I've never seen somebody posted on social media that he just talked to the team, said, hey, I'm not going anywhere. This is crazy, and then leave. So, but we'll see. Who's going to go to Alabama?
I composed a list of 10.
Okay.
And a couple of them are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But in this age, who knows what would happen? Of course, he's one of them. So now we're down to 9. Mm-hmm. And by the way, if I was Dan Lanning, and we said this off the air, this is not a job you absolutely want.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look down through the years, the guy that comes in after the legend doesn't succeed very often.
Right.
They don't. It's the next guy that comes in.
Right.
Because Dan Lanning has got a super job where he's paid very well and he can compete and he's getting ready to go into the Big Ten. And why leave that to take this job? Because here's the deal. You take this job. What are you going to be compared to? You're going to be compared to what Nick Saban did, which nobody has ever done.
Right.
And you're going to go in there and make a bunch of changes? You're going to say your style's a little bit different than him and you don't like kind of the way he did things. You're going to come in there and change that? What are those players going to think that have been in there in that program? They're going to, what the hell's this guy doing?
Yep.
So tough job.
In this, before you get to your list, will Saban kind of be involved in the hiring process? That'll be interesting.
He is.
Okay, that's interesting.
He said that. He said, I'm here to do anything I can to help Alabama. Now, that's not exactly saying he's going to be involved, but it kind of does.
To that point, a lot of times in these situations, an assistant coach is hired.
Yeah.
They've had some great ones. They're not there anymore. So I don't think they have it. Like, for example, I know we don't really like Sark, but if Sark is there, they could hand it off to him. If Lane Kiffin was still there, you could hand it off to him. Yeah. They don't have that kind of guy. So that's interesting. So, Dan Lanning was the favorite. According to the odds, he was plus 200 to take the job.
I had him at the top.
So he's out. Who else do you think?
Well,
I'll read off the odds after you read off the names.
Well, the first one's ridiculous, but he's been mentioned, and that's Stoops. But Stoops is not going to.
He's not on the list. No.
Number one, he's not stupid enough to follow Saban.
Well,
and number two, you and I know he's very happy.
He's not even. That shouldn't even be on the list.
I have heard that.
Oh, everybody always says it. It's never going to happen.
So I couldn't think of anybody else, so I put him at 10. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I've also heard Mike Norvell. at Florida State. Is he on the list?
Mike Norvell is currently 18-1, but this is a dated list now because Dan Lanning's still on this list, so he'd probably be around the 15-1 mark.
Now, I did not have time to look. Was he an assistant there at one time? I think
don't know that he ever was there. I know he was at Memphis. I'm not sure on that.
I think he went to Memphis from Alabama, but I'm not positive on that.
I'm not sure on that either. I'm going to look that up as you go. No, he has not been.
So he's not part of the Alabama tree.
No, he is not.
But I think they would look at him as a candidate for the job he's done. I really think he is a really good coach. I don't know if I was him, would I leave Florida State where he's got him now in the ACC and go to this? No way.
I would leave if I was him. But okay, who's next? I don't think I will be honest. I will be shocked if they hire him.
Yeah, I've got him number 9.
Okay, who's 8?
I just put a current assistant down as a possibility. I don't really know if there's anyone that they think that highly of. I mean, it would have to be somebody that's a home run, you know.
I think a current assistant there's a chance of it. I think that's a better chance than Mike Norvell. So who's 7?
That's why I got him 8th.
Yeah,
okay,
I
got
agree.
him 8th. It's just, it's like it would have to be when Stoops left OU, we all knew who the next coach was going to be. Lincoln Riley was the golden child. He had the name. His offenses were fantastic.
And therein lies the problem. They don't have that right now.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think there's somebody on that staff right now that's got that. But I don't know that because I haven't been around that staff much. This one probably should be below the others, but Jimbo Fisher comes to mind because he's been a Saban disciple.
He would probably be on the list if he hadn't just got fired. There's no way he's.
No, they're not. They can't take that PR.
Yeah.
Another guy that's always out there that's ridiculous is Urban Meyer. Alabama is not going to hire a guy with that kind of reputation.
Urban Meyer is 10-1 on this list right now, which means he'll probably be about 8-1 now that Dan Lanning's off of it. Keep an eye. I don't think that's nuts, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I'll be shocked if they hire him.
I wouldn't be shocked. I would be surprised.
I would.
Yeah.
Now, I think he would take it.
I don't. If he wants to coach,
If he wants to coach again,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where's he going to? The only thing is, again, these guys like him, Stoops, that have been around, they know. We better stay away from that.
I don't know his situation as far as I know Bob Stoops' situation. He's not taking a job, but I don't know about Urban. I don't know, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't either. I've heard Dabo mentioned.
Is that who you have at number 5?
Yep.
Okay. Dabo currently 5-1. So more like 3-1 after Dan Lanning leaves. He's the second choice on the board.
Yeah. So he coached there, right?
Yeah, I would think I think he's got to think about it, but I also think Alabama's got to think about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hire him. Who's next?
I think his star has lost some of its glitter.
I wouldn't hire him under the current climate of college football. No.
You're going to be surprised with this one.
Okay.
I've not heard this mentioned. Kirby Smart.
He's not on the list. It makes a ton of sense. He would fall under what you kind of said, like the golden child, because he was there, and if he was there still, he would take it over. I don't think he'll leave Georgia.
That's who I would talk to first.
I would 1,000% talk to him first, and then that would open up a Georgia job. It would be this just would be nuts if Alabama and Georgia come open.
What might happen is if Kirby took the Alabama job. Okay, now people could argue his job's better than Alabama at this time, but can they keep that up? History says no. Let's say he took it, then one of these other guys on the list would probably get the Georgia job.
But all of a sudden, Dan Lanning saying in Oregon becomes iffy because he was at Georgia.
Would that not be fascinating?
I don't think that's a domino that's going to fall. I don't think it's absolutely impossible, but I don't see it. I don't see it.
I don't think Kirby has the guts to do it.
I don't think it would be the smartest thing for him to do.
I
Honestly.
guarantee you,
He's
they've
got
already-
that going so well.
He does. But
I just-
Alabama beat him.
I know.
I guarantee you they've called him already. I guarantee you they have.
When you're Alabama, that's the call you can make.
That's right.
If Oklahoma, anywhere else really, Oklahoma, Texas, any of those places, you
Yeah.
can't really call Kirby
Nothing
Smart.
is far fetched when it comes
Nope.
to Alabama.
Nope.
Lane Kiffin.
Is he? You have him at number 3?
I would have Kirby ahead of him, but no, because I don't think Kirby will take it. So I have Kiffin at 3. I think he would take it if they ask him.
So Lane Kiffin is the betting favorite now that Dan Lanning is out, and that to be clear, that's 100% who I think is going to take it. But
If they offer it to him, now that's the key.
if they offer it to him, yeah,
He's kind of a polarizing figure. He has changed a little bit at Mississippi as far as his demeanor and everything.
I think he's done an excellent job.
He
there.
has, and he's matured. He was too young when he was in those other jobs to handle them. He's learned, probably going and working for Saban for those couple of years taught him a ton. He's got to be in the picture for sure.
He has
He
to
would
be
nuts if he didn't take it.
He has to be. He is confident enough in himself to go take that and not be
He's arrogant.
bothered. Yep.
He's
So
arrogant enough.
I think
The
he's
only thing
perfect.
is- the only thing is, again, tough to take that job. The first guy after Saban, he is arrogant enough to do it.
He will not care about that.
Yes, probably not. It's just he might really be happy where he is. You never know. You never know.
They're building something good there. So
Right.
Okay. Who's
And a
next?
lot of people are automatically assuming that Saban's not there. Alabama's going to drop quite a bit. That's maybe possible. They may drop for 2 or 3 years, but they ain't going to be gone very long, I'll tell you, because Alabama's never been gone very long.
They went through some lean times.
They did.
though.
They did.
So don't think it's impossible. That's what I always tell Oklahoma fans that aren't older fans. It's like, don't think it's impossible that OU could be irrelevant, because we've
seen it.
And I've seen Alabama be irrelevant. So
Yeah.
don't
It's
think you can
exactly
just
what
bring
we're-
anybody in because you
Right.
can't.
It's exactly what we're saying.
Yeah.
Switzer left.
Mm-hmm.
We went through 10 years. 10 years. 5 that were awful.
Yep.
Okay, then Stoops leaves, and we're not what we were.
We were dangerously close until this year. We got a little bit back into the relevant picture, but we still got a ways to go. Okay, who's number 2 on the list? We got to get going here.
It's Sark.
Sark, yeah.
Yeah.
So the rumor is that what people in the know have said is Nick Saban told Texas, you better hire this guy. So whether you like Sark or not, he made a huge impression on Nick Saban.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can
And
he leave
said
Texas?
that to Texas?
Yep. Can he leave? Can he leave?
I don't think I think he's a great offensive coach. I don't know about anything else. He has got at Texas higher than anyone else had done in a long time. And I have to give him credit for that. And I do think part of it is the Big 12 is weak. I think that's part of it.
I think part of it is he knows how to play this game that we currently have.
That could be. The recruiting is not going to drop off at Alabama under Sark.
Nope. And I'm going to tell you something. We've seen Texas every year over the years, and we've been to that game a lot over the years. This season, when you looked out on the field, you said Texas has great players again. And they really just haven't had those kind of guys. I'm not talking about one running back here or one lineman here. I'm talking about as a whole, they look better. They look like a team that could do what they did, go to the playoff. Yeah.
So when you look at it, when you analyze all of it, now that Lanning is out of the picture, allegedly.
So was Lanning your number 1?
Huh?
Was Lanning number 1?
Yeah, he was the number 1. I didn't think he was number 1, but everybody else did.
Yeah.
So obviously, I don't know whether Alabama reached out to him at all. We don't know that. That's just assumed. And a lot of this is just conjecture, but common sense tells you it's either going to be Sark or Kiffin if they want
Yeah.
it.
What about Kalen DeBoer from Washington?
From Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah. It would help if he won the national championship.
I still think it's an interesting one. I think he would go, but he's kind of a West Coast coach.
Yeah, I rate him
know.
as a real dark horse.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go out and get somebody obscure, though.
No.
I don't think they can do that.
He's been mentioned. Bill O'Brien. I've seen that mentioned. I would say this: if Bill O'Brien gets hired at Alabama, their fans are gonna riot.
I
mean, their fans are gonna go ape shit if they hire
the
somebody
offensive
like that.
coordinator. Is he the offensive coordinator now? I think he is.
I think he is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think. I think he was.
Okay.
I have trouble keeping up with. He goes.
Yeah, they have a new one every year.
I know. Well, and he's always somewhere. I have trouble keeping up with him.
He went to Penn State after Paterno.
Yeah.
After that, and he did a good job. Then he went to Houston as the head coach, Houston Texans.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a big enough star. I don't think he's a big enough name.
No.
He's probably solid as a coach, but I don't think he's a big enough name.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So like James Franklin,
I've heard that too.
They're gonna go nuts if that's the guy.
They're not. They can't. No.
They're gonna go nuts, and that's not. Again, I'm just telling you what Alabama fans are going to do. No, I don't think they're going to go nuts if they hire Dabo. I think they'll be happy, but I think there'll be a portion of them that are going to be upset. But
I think a portion of them is going to be upset with whoever they hire.
Fair, but all of them are going to be upset if James Franklin or Bill O'Brien are hired. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
I agree.
And that's I'm not really knocking either one of those guys. Yeah. But that they're going to go nuts.
And a lot of programs that have been great over the years, they do just promote an assistant when the legend leaves.
Yep.
And it's been okay several times. I just know Oklahoma better than anything else. When Bud Wilkinson, who started the Oklahoma dynasty, he was an assistant. Then when he left, they hired an assistant that didn't work. And they eventually got the right coach. And when he left, they hired Switzer. Yep. So they're about 50-50 on their giving it to the assistants. They've had some flops, but I don't think it's happening in Alabama because right now I can't tell you who any of their assistants are, and usually you can.
Yeah. I think, Lincoln Riley, somebody said that. I don't think that's going to happen. It is kind of a weird time for them because, like I said, they've had so many, right? But a couple of others that I've heard mentioned, and we'll just laugh this one off. Deion Sanders, he is on the betting choices.
In hell. Next,
I think if he would have went like 10-2, there would be a chance, but it's not going to be. Not going to happen now,
guys. They're not going to hire a 4-8 coach who didn't do shit after the first season. They got worse. They ain't happening.
It would be a total mutiny.
He's too out there.
Yeah. Another one I've heard, and I just don't get this, but this is the last one that I've seen that we haven't touched on. Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame, and I'm sitting here going, Marcus Freeman might get fired next year at Notre Dame. He's been very underwhelming in my opinion.
No, he's no.
Marcus Freeman is that guy that everybody says, he's great, and you go, okay, well maybe he is, and you watch the games, it's like they're not any good. I think they should have been a hell of a lot better than what they were. So
I do. I'm going to throw somebody. If you're going to throw somebody obscure out there, the guy at Arizona.
Yeah,
he would be very good. He did the best job in the country this year. So
I heard somebody say the freaking I can't think of his name, the K-State coach. They think if you gave him great players, he would be unbelievable.
I think he's a great coach. I think he does a great job, but I think he's at a place where he needs to be. I think he's that kind of coach.
He's at like a place that fits. Yeah.
Yeah. He can't.
Yeah.
How would he? How do I say this? How could he recruit those elite players when he's never done it?
Yeah. No, he's coached at places where you got to be pretty creative in recruiting and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not sure. Now listen, Drinkowich from Missouri, I think Alabama fans wouldn't like it. I don't think it's crazy because Missouri is really, it's not easy to win as many as he won up there. And he kind of did what Pinkel did when he first got there. He got studs up there. Like, it's all in recruiting. And for whatever reason, Missouri's been very tough to get those elite players. He's got them. So that tells me he knows about NIL. He can recruit. I actually think he'd be a good hire.
Crazy. I don't think that's crazy at all, Gabe.
I think it'd be a great hire, but I don't think the Alabama fans would think it would be a great hire. Does that make sense? Like what I said?
He's okay. Okay, Alabama lives in a bubble.
Right.
They probably don't even know what Missouri did.
Right. And if they do, they don't really care. Like, they're not looking at how maybe you and I, maybe Gabe as well, look at it as like, damn, like if you can go 11-2 at Missouri and you watch college football the last 30, 40 years, you're like, that's really good. Like, that is a really good, whether you like him or not, that is a really good job. He's doing something right.
Anybody's got a brain knows that.
And I'm with Gabe. I mean, I thought about him, but I didn't take him serious because I just didn't think Bama would take him that serious. But if I had an open job, I would certainly look at him. I mean, he'd be interesting.
The more I think about this, if Saban wants to be involved in the hiring, I think he will have a huge say in who they hire, because he's not leaving because he had a bad season. He's not leaving because something controversial happened.
No, they're going to respect what he says. Yeah.
He's leaving on his own accord. Yeah. Which means he's still God in Alabama.
Yeah.
So you let him in on it if he wants to be.
Yeah. So the last kind of thing on this, will transition to the NFL, because Dennis was asking about, could a former NFL coach take the job? And I think the short answer is probably not, but the long answer is, well, maybe, depending on who's out there. Like, you look at the ones that got fired, like, I mean, I don't think they're going to hire those guys. Like Pete Carroll, I think it's kind of past the time.
Carroll is too old.
Yeah. So Mike Vrabel, I don't know. I think he'd probably do pretty good, but I don't think they'd hire him. But anyway, Ricky and I both, I was talking to Ricky Pasternak, who follows it big time as well. We both believe it in the end, it's going to be Lane Kiffin. I feel like you kind of think it might be Sark, and I would not be shocked.
I think it'd be one of the two.
Okay. Yeah.
Another guy I almost threw out there was Harbaugh.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I tell you what, that's a good segue to the next thing we'll talk about, because you know what? That's an interesting thing, because Harbaugh's not going to Alabama, but no. Michigan could come open.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to have Alabama and Michigan the same year come open, which would be crazy. These are the jobs that are open. Now, Las Vegas, I'll read them. Atlanta, Carolina, LA Chargers, Tennessee, Las Vegas, Seattle, Washington, New England. Most people think Pierce is probably going to get that Las Vegas job because he did so well as an interim coach, but he hasn't officially gotten it. So,
and why hasn't he?
Right. And each day that goes on, you're like, well, we'll see. Yeah. But these are the ones that are open. Let's talk about Harbaugh. I think everybody kind of feels like Harbaugh can pick whichever one, right?
Yeah, probably.
Out of these 8, which one's the best job to you?
Well, I read a deal that listed them. And at the time this was written, the New England thing wasn't one of there was just 7. Okay?
I don't think New England's a very good job.
No, I don't either. Simply because of, again, who are you replacing? The only difference is Belichick's star has dimmed a little bit the last couple of years because they haven't been any good. So, and this is the order they listed them, and I've got several reasons or their explanations why. So let's just leave New England out of it for the moment, because I think I might rank it as the worst. Carolina.
Carolina's pretty bad.
Yeah.
A lot of people are ranking the Chargers job as the top one. I don't necessarily agree, but I don't think it's the worst. But Carolina's pretty bad. I think Washington's pretty bad, honestly.
Well, okay. Now here's what they're saying.
Okay.
So we'll start with the worst. And they had Carolina as the worst because what does Carolina have going for them?
I mean, they've got a rookie quarterback, but he didn't look very good.
He didn't
After
look
that,
very
nothing.
good.
Yeah.
The overall talent of the team's not very good.
And that's probably why he looked below average. Yeah.
The overall tradition, it's a young franchise, but it hasn't done much. It had a couple of years there with what's his name. And so it's kind of a dull type franchise, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know how you breathe life into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rank New England better than that.
Yes.
The thing with New England is they've won and they've won a lot and they know how, and the fan base is going to demand it. So you've got that for them. But let's just, when this was written and it hadn't become official that Belichick was out. The next one is Tennessee. That's number 6 out of 7.
I would agree.
Now, here's the thing with Tennessee. I kind of argue this one a little bit. They have $77 million in cap space.
Yeah.
Which means they can go out and get some players. They have the number 7 pick in a division that I think is winnable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they made a dumb move firing the coach, but I think sometimes you just make that move because the guy's been there too long.
It feels a little bit like, hey, we are going to start over. Let's just fully start over.
Now, when you rank the franchises, Tennessee is pretty stable.
Yep.
And I would say that's a pretty good place to live, Nashville.
Yep.
They like to win, and they have won. This is a job that I think should be rated higher than.
Yep. Probably. I think it's better than New England, honestly.
The next they have on the list is the Raiders. And it's basically because of how unstable that franchise has been.
It's the ownership that would worry me.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They do have $55 million in cap space.
Yeah.
They have the number 13 pick. I think it's a plus that they're in Vegas.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, I wouldn't want to live there, but I think that gives them a little bit of pizzazz.
It's hard for me to take the Raiders as being open seriously. It just feels like, I mean, they played awfully well. I shouldn't Pierce.
Why haven't they hired him though?
I don't know, but shouldn't. I don't know. To me, it's
been like 2 weeks, right? We're going on 2 weeks.
I know. Yeah, I know.
With each day that tells you what they're interviewing other people.
Yeah, I know.
And again, I'm with you. They played great under him.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to play great. They were out of it pretty much.
Yep.
And they played like the old Raiders.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's what they need to get back to.
Yeah.
The next one on the list is the Chargers. They have a roster full of talent, but the problem is cap space. And how are they going to sign them all? And Eckler is probably going to go because he's a free agent. And there was one more of their good players. The other question is, how good is Herbert?
Yeah.
How good is he? Has he been ruined? He's regressed. Can the right guy come in there and get him back to where it looked like he was going to be? Here's the thing I don't like about the Chargers. They don't have a home.
Yeah,
They don't have any fan base.
I think the Chargers' job is good on the surface, but I think I don't know. It's just gone.
It has.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
They
may have missed that window where they had those guys. They had them locked up.
Yep.
And now it's like your quarterback's been beat to hell. You're going to lose some guys to free agency. I don't know.
And your second fiddle in a city that don't give a shit about the first fiddle.
Pretty much.
They don't care anything about the Rams. And your second fiddle to that?
Not really. Yep.
I wouldn't take that job, even though it does look good. I wouldn't take it because I just don't think anybody cares out there. Next is Atlanta, which you like. They have $38 million in cap space, which is good. They're in a winnable division. You don't have to get much better to win that division. They have good offensive talent. They need a quarterback.
They need a quarterback.
But they have a number 8 overall pick. They might be able to trade up with somebody. So the more I think about it, that's a pretty good job.
I think it's a good job. Yep.
And that might be somewhere that Harbaugh might consider.
Maybe.
I don't know how he would do in the South. I'm not sure about that, how he would play in the South. I don't know whether it matters with the NFL.
I don't think it matters in the NFL. No.
Then you have Seattle at number 2, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But the thing about Seattle is they have a winning culture there.
They have, to me, that's the best job because it's not a total mess.
No.
The fan base is phenomenal.
They have a stable leadership.
Yeah, they just need to
they need a quarterback.
They need to do one of two things. I don't know. They're in a weird spot because their roster's good, but it's not great, right? And they're kind of just in that middle ground of
they're 9-8 team.
Yeah, but how do you get there? Do you have to rip it down and rebuild and come back up, or can you add a few pieces and get there?
Okay.
I think it's a great job. I think it's a really good job, but their roster's kind of in a weird spot, is how I would describe it.
You put a top flight quarterback with them.
Yeah, right.
They would be. The thing I don't like about Seattle is they're in there with the Niners.
For sure. and top flight quarterbacks, okay, sure, but like, how do you get one of those?
Well, that's just it. And that's what they've got to figure out.
Right.
That's their issue.
That's not easy to do.
No.
Yeah.
Personally, like you say, they got a lot of pluses. I don't think I'd want to live there, but that's just me.
I would. I think that'd be great. Yeah.
The number 1 job, according to this thing, is Washington. And the reason is
the money.
They have $86 million in cap space.
So basically they're basing this so they could totally revamp the team.
Well, they have 3 of the top 40 picks.
Yeah.
Plus the number 2 overall.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So if you got the right guy in there, if you got him in there, you'd have to give him total control of personnel.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Bill Belichick would fit in.
Yeah, that'd be unreal.
Don't think it's far-fetched. The only thing is, with hiring Bill Belichick, he's old.
Yeah.
He's getting old.
See, and that's the thing. There's a lot of Harbaugh talk, but Bill Belichick is out there now.
Yeah.
He's not going home. He's going somewhere.
I don't think he's going to retire. He's just the type to me that can't do anything else.
Yep. So where does he fit into the equation?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Harbaugh would be good there, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Again, though, you look at Washington, okay, you got to deal with the Eagles. You got to deal with the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get pretty dang good to beat those 2 teams.
But, if you get good, you can beat the Cowboys.
Oh, true. And you can beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
And again, they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Last year, they made a run without a quarterback last year. I don't know what happened to him this year, but
didn't play last half of the year. He wasn't good.
If you ask me, none of these jobs are great. I don't think any of them are great.
I think the Seattle job's pretty good, and I'm kind of with you. I don't think the Tennessee job is bad.
No, I like the Tennessee situation.
They've been good, and they just kind of got in a rut too, where they just haven't had anybody to lead them quarterback wise. So
a quarterback, and then Derrick Henry got old.
Yeah,
and I like that. The leadership there is. They're pretty good. That franchise is solid. The fan base is very good.
Yeah.
Winnable division. But you look at these teams. Okay, you got Carolina. There's nothing to get excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. I mean, other people have come in there and tried to get it turned around. Can't do it.
So, but here's the deal. I agree. So some of these are bad. some of them are average. This was my last point on this before we move on to the picks, but Gabe said the Eagles job, it's iffy. I think the Cowboys job, I think if they lose, he's out. Then the Pittsburgh situation. Tomlin, I don't think they're going to fire him, but like he's kind of alluded to like, I don't know about this. I may hang it up for a little bit or just walk away. So Eagles, Cowboys, Pittsburgh, those are like the prime time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's why you're not seeing a lot of things happen as far as hiring just yet.
I don't think they'll fire the guy at Philadelphia.
I don't think so either. But I'm telling you right now, the Cowboys, if they were to lose in the first round, I think McCarthy's out.
Has Jerry Jones said anything about
No,
him?
but I think the expectation levels are high enough he will be out. But I'm not saying they're going to lose in the first round either. We'll get to that in just a second. But I think you're not going to see anything until these teams start to lose in the first round of the playoffs.
They're not going to fire Tomlin.
They're not going to fire him, but could he just say the hell with it? Maybe.
Would he go to another job?
Maybe. See, could he just kind of want to change? I don't know.
Can you see him somewhere else? I can't.
No, but only because he's been there so long.
I know.
I'm sure he'd be fine somewhere else, but
he's doing something right. I don't know what it is, but he's doing something right.
It's unbelievable. Listen, they've left him for dead 3 years in a row now and left the Steelers for dead. And every time they re-rally, I was watching a show and they weren't being outlandish at all. They had 3 games left in the season. They're like, it's crazy that Mike Tomlin's going to have a losing season this year for the first time in forever. And the guy was like, well, what do you mean? This isn't over. And they read off the games and and the guy was like, yeah, there's no way they're going to go 2-1. They won them all.
They did.
It's just like,
it's
unbelievable.
Except they lost to Arizona at home.
Yes.
And some other crappy team.
Yep.
And that's when we were all burying them.
Yep.
They had their chance to make a run to the division even.
Yep.
They lost those 2 games and everybody buried them. And the next thing you know, boom, 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 there they are.
In every game you watch them and you said, this team is terrible. They are horrible. And they win. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Even the last game. Yeah. The last game, the Ravens said everybody, I'm not going to say the Ravens weren't trying, but they weren't playing all out or anything like that. The Steelers barely beat them, but they beat them. That's the thing.
That's the thing. And that's what they do. And he's done that 2 or 3 years now.
I know. It's crazy.
Same thing. And
to me, it's like every year, the last 3 or 4 years, they're all over he's lost it and all this. And it's just like, to me, I would sit here and go, this is getting old. Like
he might.
Yeah.
And there's always a chance that now that you mention it, this is strange. Usually when you fire somebody, you got somebody in mind and you hire them really quick.
Yeah.
And they haven't. So there could be a chance that some of these franchises could lure somebody that's NFL coaching right now.
Yes. I think
money talks.
I think the good franchises and the good head coaches that are prospects aren't doing shit until after this week.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to see, if that Dallas job is open or Philly maybe or whoever, we'll see what happens.
I can't see Philly coming.
Because the worst thing would be is like, I'm going to go to the Chargers. And this is not an offense to the Chargers, but I'm going to say today, I'm going to the Chargers, who maybe it's an okay job. Maybe it's not, but it's debatable one way or the other, just how good it is. And then the next day, something comes open where it's like, oh my God, that roster is set to go win. I don't have to do a whole lot to it,
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. All right, let's get to the picks. Let's get to the picks for today or for this weekend. A lot of talk about the coaching. To me, the coaching stuff's almost more fun to talk about than some of these games. So.
I think so.
We'll get to it. Okay, let's start Saturday, though. I do think, I'll be on, I'm looking very much forward to this game. I think it's going to be an excellent football game. Cleveland and Houston kick off the playoffs 3:30 on Saturday. Cleveland a 2.5-point favorite despite being on the road, but I think the line's probably right. They probably should be the favorite. Who you got in Houston to kick us off Saturday?
Yeah, you're right. This is going to be a good one. Fascinating matchup. You got the Browns led by a guy who wasn't on a roster or anything else, has come out of nowhere and maybe top 5 quarterback in the league. Just the last 6 or 7 games, however many games he's played, against the up-and-comer in Stroud at Texas. The game's in Texas. Cleveland is tough. They've won 11 games. There aren't very many teams that have played. What have they played now? 5 quarterbacks, I think.
It's incredible.
It's nuts. It's nuts. A team that's played 5 quarterbacks is in the playoffs.
And the one that stuck is a guy that nobody even was thinking of.
And
like he wasn't even in the league, like you said.
And they lost their running back.
Right. Yeah.
Who's one of the best players in the league.
Yep.
And who was their offense.
Yep. It's incredible
what they've done. And they've kind of been under the radar a little bit. I don't hear a lot of people talk about them.
Not a ton.
Having said all that, do what?
They're starting to now.
Yeah. Having said all that, give me the Texans plus 2.5.
All right. You're going to take the Texans.
I think they're going to beat them.
I don't hate it. I went the other way, but that doesn't mean I hate your pick. I kind of like it. And I kind of think the only thing for me is I do think the Cleveland defense, it's a really, really good group. And I just think they might be able to contain the Texans enough. But
I kind of like watching Houston.
I do too. They're exciting. Yeah. Well, we picked up on it like midseason. We're like, oh, this NFL is just horrific to watch. And then you go, oh, well, you know what? The Texans are kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, they are.
To be honest, the Browns, once they really got going, they've been pretty fascinating.
It's been excellent.
Yep.
He's coaching the year in my book.
100%. Yeah. All right. You're going to take the Texans. I'm going to take the Browns to kick us off here. Now we go to the Chiefs and the Dolphins. The Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites at home against the Dolphins. Here's a couple of things to know. You look at the weather, it says 2 degrees. It's going to feel like minus 10, 15, 20 degrees at Arrowhead. I can't see where that's not going to play a huge factor in this game.
Oh, there's no doubt.
You got a Dolphins team that kind of has a reputation of not being too tough to begin with. Now they're a warm weather team coming. This is going to be frigid up there Saturday night. So, but the Chiefs covering anything is a struggle. What do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, when you get into weather like this, here's the deal. We live in this area. We haven't had this weather. So there's no way the Chiefs are used to it.
It's been colder here than Miami, though.
Exactly. Yeah. That is very fair. Yeah. But it ain't been 10 below.
No.
So it's going to affect the Chiefs as well. Yeah. It will definitely affect Miami more. Look at the total. The weather is affecting the totals.
Totally.
These are 2 teams that are known to score, right? And you got 43 points.
Well, the Chiefs really don't score anymore, though.
Not like they used to. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I would be tempted to take the under. I don't. If it's as bad, because the wind is going to be awful too. Last I heard was 20-mile-an-hour winds. We've been in Arrowhead when it's been not that cold.
Yep.
But it was like 10 degrees that night we were there. And it was a great game, so I didn't notice the temperature too much. But my feet were frozen when I got to the car. Yeah. But it's gonna. I would hate to sit out in that. But now you've skipped the whole story. You've missed the whole story. Peacock. This is all I'm hearing. In our area, people are throwing a fit if they can't watch the game.
I don't know what show we said it on. It could have been, I can't remember. No, we said it Monday night during the national championship thing. The Chiefs, this is the worst franchise they could put on Peacock for the fan base because they have no idea what it is, how to get it. And then when they figure out they have to pay for it, they're not going to do it. I mean, the Chiefs fans, they're just not going to do it.
I was okay. I subbed at school yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
3 teachers. I'm so pissed off about this game. I said it costs $5.99
Yeah.
to get the game.
And you
$5.99.
literally just cancel it as soon as the game's over
Yeah,
if you
as
don't
soon
want
as it's over, you cancel it.
it. Right. Yeah.
But then it just costs $5.99 to get the damn network anyway. I
Right.
think it does.
Yeah.
$5.99 a month. When you go to Starbucks 3 or 4 times a day, they've got a, believe it or not,
Yeah.
in where the little town I sub in, they do have a nice coffee shop there.
Yeah.
And everybody goes to that, and they're paying $5 for a cup of coffee, and you can't pay $5.99 to watch your beloved football team play.
Right.
Well, it's the principal thing. I'm not doing it.
Well,
then shut up.
what I told you though on the show Monday, I doubt the people that live in my neighborhood can do it.
Probably not. I don't know that I can do it, but
Even if it was free, you can because you've watched games on Peacock before. This is
Peacock, so it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
anyway.
but this is going to be bad for people.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If I was a big time Chiefs fan, which a lot of these people aren't, I would know. I would have started on Monday.
Well,
trying to figure out how do I get this game, and I would have had it by now. It would have been
to that point. I talked to somebody yesterday. He goes, "Well, I guess I just won't watch it this week."
Yeah.
And I said, "Just download the Peacock app
Yeah.
on your TV, or I'm sure it's probably already downloaded on there. Just go to your apps." And he looked at he looked at me like I had 3 heads. He's like, "An app? What?" It's like, "Oh my God." Well, I can't. You're not coming over here, okay? That's not gonna happen. So,
oh, it's so funny.
I don't know. I may have a basement full of people. I don't know. I feel bad for some of these folks. But,
anyway, back to the game.
Yeah,
I've got to take the Chiefs. I don't know why. I don't like Miami. I don't like the way they play.
I think the Chiefs. I hate Miami. I don't hate Miami, but I hate him as a football team.
Yeah, I don't hate them either, but I hate the football team.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're very good.
No,
I'm not a Tua fan at all.
No,
and I can't pick them. I'm going to pick Kansas City to cover. That's a kiss of death for the Chiefs, but
yeah.
I think they win. I think they got the best draw they could get.
I agree.
Them than Buffalo, that's for sure.
Best draw that they could get for the first round for sure. I don't think
the second round not so good if Buffalo comes through.
I don't think either team are very good. I think the 2 teams that are playing before them are better than these 2 teams.
Yeah, you may be right.
I don't think they're good at all.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're both taking the Chiefs though, so we'll see what happens with that one. Let's go to Sunday's games. We'll kick it off. Steelers and the Bills. Big spread here. The Bills are 10-point favorites. Look, we're kind of just talking about the Steelers. Somehow they win these games. They get in these spots. They haven't really been competitive once they get to the playoffs. So that's the last couple of years, at least. Bills are hot. Do you think the Bills take care of them pretty easy?
I think the line is fair. Don't you?
Yeah.
The way they're playing.
Yep.
I've been impressed with them. They've really gone on a roll and done what they had to do. And they won some tough games in some tough places.
Is it dumb for me to say if their quarterback just would stop being so dumb with some of his throws, they could probably make a big run, but you can't trust this guy anymore.
No. They would have beat Miami like a drum.
Yeah.
He kept Miami in the game.
Yep.
With some of the dumb stuff he did. And
hey, when they played Kansas City, he kept Kansas City in the game.
He did.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know how you settle him down, I don't know how you rein him in. It's kind of the way he plays. And I don't dislike the guy. I think he's given it everything he's got, but he's just not playing very well. So he could keep the Steelers in it. The Steelers are going to have a lot of help.
Yep.
To win. It's just how you feel about that 10. I will be shocked if the Bills don't win. Won't you?
Yeah. I think the Bills are going to cover too. I really do.
If I was going to bet it, I would too.
I think at home, I think they'll cover as long as he doesn't turn the ball over a lot.
They
Talking
may
about Josh
shut him
Allen.
out. They may shut him out.
They might. I could see it. I mean, that's the one thing. The Bills' defense has really been good during this run, and they've had to be because the offense still is not anything great. So
I will say this: I would not want to play Buffalo in these playoffs right now.
No, not right now. And I think, like I said, if Josh Allen plays well, they're going to be a tough out, and they're definitely going to be a tough out for the Steelers. Yeah, so I think they'll cover. I give me the Bills as well. Okay, this is a game that's getting a lot of talk. The Packers and the Cowboys are next. Dallas is a 7-point favorite, total at 50.5. So you see a lot bigger total here. Big game for Dallas, big game for Mike McCarthy. I kind of feel like the spread's about right. What do you think?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of talk because people think Green Bay's as good as they usually are, and they're not.
They're not. No, I can't see Green Bay going down there and beating them. I really can't.
I can't.
My father-in-law thinks, that's going to happen. Green Bay's going to beat it. I'm just like, I just can't. I can't get there.
Okay, if Green Bay beats them, it's because Dak Prescott chokes. Would you say that? Would you go there?
Yeah, in this game, it just feels like Dallas is the better team.
And they've played great at home.
Yeah.
I give Green Bay a lot of credit. I had them buried. I didn't think they'd be in the playoffs, and they are.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give him credit. I do think the quarterback, who we kind of maligned early in the year, I think he has some hope.
He's played better second half of the year.
He's not bad.
Yeah.
They're not good enough to go into Dallas and beat them if Dallas shows up and doesn't choke. It ain't gonna be the coach. That's not the reason they lose. They have a tremendous talent advantage, and they'll have to help Green Bay. Prescott will have to fumble the ball. They'll have to. Some crazy stuff's going to have to happen for them. Green Bay is not going to be able to line up and beat them without some help.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with Dallas to cover.
Yep, I think Dallas covers as well. I'm with you on that one. All right, this one I'm back and forth on. Rams and the Lions in this game here. The Lions are 3-point favorites, 51.5 total. Rams have played pretty well the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. Lions kind of have two, though. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, it's an interesting game. I think the Rams are very well coached. I think they're at full strength, which means a lot. They've got two excellent receivers. If Stafford plays well, why can't they win? A lot of pressure on Detroit. They haven't been in this situation. They've had a great year.
Yeah.
Are they going to be satisfied with that? How much more do they want?
Yeah.
I think the spread's about right. I think you have to think Detroit's going to win, but something tells me they're not. I'm going to take the Rams.
I keep coming back to that same thing. Like people tell me, I think Green Bay they're going to win. I'm like, I don't think so. But I keep coming back. I kind of think the Rams are at least going to cover this.
It's going to be an upset somewhere.
I feel like right here is where it's going to be. I really do. I think the Rams win the game. I really do. I think they're going to go in there and beat them.
This would be my number one pick for an upset.
Yeah. The Rams haven't really been great, but I just don't trust the Lions. And I think, I've seen them play teams that weren't all that great, and it gets close. I just think the Rams will cover. I don't know if they'll win. I think it'll be a really tight game.
Well, weren't they 3-6 at one time, the Rams?
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of left for dead a little bit too. Yeah.
Well, if they say they were 3-5, and I kind of think they were 3-6. They won 7 out of their last 8 games or 9. So that's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do in the NFL.
Yep. I think they'll play them close for sure.
They ain't afraid of them, I'll tell you that.
No. Final game Monday night, the Eagles and Tampa Bay. I was really dreading Tampa Bay all day Sunday. I thought for sure they were going to blow that division, but they do get the division. They make the playoffs. They get the home game. So you got Tampa Bay, who finished pretty hot before the last 2 games, against the Eagles, who have not been good, period. No. The last, 6-7 weeks even.
Yeah.
Eagles are still a 3-point favorite here. I think this is a toss-up. What do you think?
The Eagles have lost 5 out of 6.
Yep.
And it's not because of the offense. It's because of the defense.
Can't stop anybody.
But what is Tampa Bay's offense.
That's the problem.
I don't think Tampa Bay.
If you watched Tampa last week, it was rough.
Well, the week before was awful.
Well, that goes without saying. But here's what I don't get. Tampa went on about a 5-week period, I would even say 6 weeks, where their offense was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe they've kind of turned the corner, and then they went right back to how they looked at the beginning of the year. I do like their matchup for their offense here to kind of get back going, but I don't think they can fully take advantage of it.
I don't either. And that's why I can't pick them. This would be my second choice for an upset, though, because in the NFL, it matters how you're playing coming into these playoffs.
Yeah.
It matters.
Yeah.
And the Eagles have got to be doubting themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They've not been losing to just superstar teams. The Giants beat them. The Cardinals beat them.
Yeah.
And the only game they've won in the last 6, they beat the Giants, but barely at home.
Yep.
They lost to the Cardinals at home.
Yep.
They're trending in the wrong direction. And that's not good when you come in. You can't just flip the light switch off and you suddenly start playing great defense.
Yep.
I don't like a team coming into the playoffs that defensively is not playing well.
Yeah. I feel like though if the Bucs would have played sharp the last 2 weeks like they did the last 3 or 4 before those, I'd feel pretty confident they'd beat them.
Well, I think they won 4 in a row, didn't they?
Yeah, and they beat pretty decent teams during that run.
They won 3 in a row, and then they lost to, because we said on our show a few weeks ago, if they won the rest of them, they would end the season on a 5-game winning streak.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull it up here. So, so they won 4 in a row. They beat the Panthers, who are bad. They went on the road, beat the Falcons, on the road, beat the Packers, and then killed the Jaguars. And then the losses there, or the loss to the Saints where they played awful, and then the awful win against the Panthers.
Yeah.
Well,
there's no such thing as a bad win.
No.
But it still wasn't a good one. I think New Orleans is the best team in the division. That's the problem.
Yep.
They didn't really beat anybody. But you go back up through that schedule, there's a couple of games they let get away.
Yeah.
And they've got a chance because they're at home and the Eagles are really, really struggling.
So, you talk about the Tampa Bay, this Texans game, they totally blew it. They had that game won, and they let Stroud have a great drive. The Bills game, if Godwin just turns around and looks for the ball, they actually would have won that game. That was the Hail Mary game where the ball dropped right at his feet, and all he had to do was put his hands up. He would have caught it.
Yep.
Some of these other ones, the Falcons, that's a terrible loss. The Lions, that's not a terrible loss. Here was the matchup when they played the Eagles the first time, but the two teams were very different then than they are now.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm taking the Eagles.
I am too. I can't take the Bucs. I've seen them play too much.
That's my problem. I've watched the Bucs extensively play games, and they're not very good.
No. I think they've done a lot to make the playoffs.
Exactly right. And I think they did get on a nice little run, but I think at the end of the day, they're very average. And I think the Eagles are very average with a better offense.
Yeah. Well, you look at their record, 9-8. If they played in another division,
they wouldn't be that.
They wouldn't be that. So you got to look at that. The Eagles played in a good division, played a very good schedule. The problem with the Eagles is they lost 2 games out of the last 3 or 4 to the Cardinals and the New York Giants. And that's
the Cardinals situation, they were a lot better when Murray got back.
They were.
I feel like if Murray would have played the whole season, the Cardinals had a real coach this year.
Yeah.
They may have been, I don't know if a playoff team, but they would have been a tricky team to beat.
Yeah.
Now the Giants, you can't.
Well, they got slaughtered.
I know. You can't. That was awful.
Yeah, and that's not good.
Yeah.
That's a game you had to win.
Yep.
And to go up there and just lay a total egg, and the offense was awful too.
Horrible.
And the other thing is too, Hurts is banged up.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that bad finger on his throwing hand. I think it's on his throwing hand.
And again, every negative for the Eagles, I can counter a negative with Tampa because guess who else is hurt?
Yeah.
Baker.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's another thing that the media just never seems to realize.
Yeah.
There's kind of a reason why he hasn't played real good the last 2 weeks. He's hurt.
It's 100%. He was limping off the field. He's got hurt ribs. I mean, he's hurt. So, yeah.
And a lot of these panty wastes wouldn't even play.
Right. Yeah. Well, ask Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
however, though, Deshaun sitting out ended up being eventually the best thing ever for the Browns because the Browns have quarterback play for the first time in forever.
Yeah. And here you got this guy making all this money just sitting on the bench. And look, you didn't need a superstar quarterback. You just needed somebody that could make a play every once in a while.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that is right. Isn't that ironic? Isn't that ironic though?
It's
about the Browns?
Insane.
Really
and forget about I like to rip on Deshaun only because the contract is just insane. But
it's insane.
All the quarterbacks. Not just Baker, but I mean Johnny Manziel, and you go back to like Tim Couch. I mean, they went through like dozens, and then Joe Flacco out of retirement. It's like holy cow, this is unbelievable.
I read somewhere how many starting quarterbacks they've had in the last few years. I can't remember what it was. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's incredible, and they found success at the highest level they've had in a while with this. But you know what? Joe Flacco at one time was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, he's so old. So
you hadn't done anything in 5 years.
Well, and that's just it. He really hadn't been very good for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember what year was? When was it? Tennessee. Was it last year? Tennessee signed Adrian Peterson, and he hadn't played in like a year, and he played that game.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
They signed him. He'd been out for a year, hadn't been in training camp or anything, came to camp and played the very next week.
So JL says he's got a 200-1 ticket for a Browns-Lions Super Bowl. That's probably priced about right. System QBs are great, aren't they? Boy, there's a lot of them out there, and when it does work out, it is a beautiful thing. And I think Niner Gang could probably comment. His quarterback definitely is benefiting from the players around him in the system for sure.
That's true, but he does make some throws, though.
Look, the bottom line is, speaking to Niner Game, we're not going to talk about them this week, but next week we'll start talking about them.
Yeah.
To me, they're overwhelming favorites. Them and Denver, or them and the Ravens. Them and the Ravens, obviously.
Yeah, I would like to get behind the Ravens, but I can't. So, I agree with you.
Yeah,
it looks like the best. The AFC doesn't look very strong to me.
If it's not the Ravens, I don't know who it is out of the AFC.
You take the 49ers out? Who is any good? I mean, it's pretty mediocre.
If you follow the NFL, it's felt like for about 5 weeks that it's going to be Niners Ravens. So we'll see if it actually comes to fruition. But I mean, that's what you kind of feel like it's what it's been pointing to.
They've been the most consistent.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that'll do it. We're going to get off of here now. We've went long enough, so we've covered, I think, everything we need to cover. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And the thing about it is Niners and Ravens, they seem like heavy favorites. If one of them lose or both of them lose, you could draw them out of a hat.
You sure can.
So we will see what happens. All right. Food is here. I haven't ate yet, so it's time to leave.
Get out of here.
All right, guys. We're going to get out of here for today. We'll be back later today with Blinkers Off and also the Magic Mike Show as well. So afternoon/night, still a busy one ahead of it for us. So, all right, guys, we're going to get off here now. Thanks, everybody, for watching this. We'll see what happens this weekend. It's going to be fun. And, everybody have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Holzman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.